Earlier in the day, the AIADMK went on the offensive and took to the streets of Chennai in protest against the DMK on the increasing number of sexual assault cases being reported in the state. Today, 7 students of a college in Coimbatore were arrested for alleged sexual assault of a minor girl, and a government school teacher was arrested for sexual assault in Cuddalore. All this in a long list of cases that were reported after the Anna Varsity case in December. Meanwhile, the state government imposed a series of measures, including strict guidelines for punishment of those government teachers and staff convicted in POCSO cases, including one that states that the degrees of those convicted will be revoked.
Daily news that comes out in Tamil Nadu, from Tamil Nadu, is that there is an increase in the crime against women in Tamil Nadu. It is very well obvious. The DMK government and its machinery can't hide it. The people are very well aware that there is an increased incidence of crime against women. So we are all assembled here to send a message to the people, clear message to the people, that in order to protect themselves, they should be very well aware and not depend upon the present government, DMK government.
We have suspended many teachers. We have brought in a legislation. Even today the minister had said that their certificates will be withdrawn. They cannot continue as teachers. We have arrested people. Whenever there is a complaint given to the police, police take immediate action and arrest the accused. Everything is going on. How can they say maybe some of the AIADMK fellows are escaped? Maybe that is what he means. I don't know.
So is law and order a delicate touch point for the DMK and the government in Tamil Nadu? Narayan Lakshman still with us this evening. Apsara Reddy of the AIADMK and Harish Mohammed Ibrahim, who supports the DMK, join us this evening. Apsara Reddy, the argument of the Tamil Nadu government is that there is increased reporting because of increased ability and protection to victims to come forward and report cases to the police, and that they've taken action in each and every case. There is no political target on the DMK, says the ruling government, as far as law and order is concerned.
Veera, it's a very poignant issue. I think law and order in the state is absolutely abysmal, especially when it comes to women and children. If you look at the POCSO cases, the clear statistics in the news reportage, it's very evident that the DMK is not able to deal with women and children, crimes against women and children. They're constantly, based on party alliances, defending perpetrators, whether it's Anna Varsity case, the way the chief minister dragged his feet on it, whether it's the driver who molested a 14-year-old girl who was caught in a bus stand and rescued because somebody called the cops because they found something amiss, whether it's the 7 students from Coimbatore who raped a minor girl, whether it's a school teacher who's basically laid his hands on multiple girls and perpetrated the bad touch continually. There's constant issue with women and children in the DMK government. Look at the case of Kanimuri, who's actually the women's wing head of the party. In her own rally, a police woman constable was molested and harassed and later forced to withdraw her case. Similarly, in Coimbatore, a rift between 2 factions of the DMK satraps in that region led to a police officer's hand being actually, manhandled, a woman police officer in the police station being manhandled by DMK goons. Similarly, in a police station recently, it was all over the news, a 13-year-old girl has gone to seek help in a police station in Chennai and she was molested by the police official there. DMK is always the back foot when it comes to women and children. I think the ideology of the party is very well reflected even in their political platforms and political meetings where their own leaders are calling women item and, piece and furniture. And, the way they refer to women, I'm doing literal translation from Tamil, but the way they refer to women is absolutely abysmal. They have a very sexual connotation to the way they attack women. So DMK is not a party that can defend women and children.
Right. You're making a strong point there. Narayan Lakshman, before I go to Harish, is the perception, and let's not talk about actual numbers of cases because the DMK's argument is that there is increased reporting after awareness and protection for victims. But is the perception that law and order and women's safety is on the decline in the state going to be a delicate electoral issue for the DMK to deal with? Narayan Lakshman.
Yes and no, Viragha, because I think on the one hand, those of us who remember the many campaigns of both parties, Revidian majors over the years, We remember that previous DMK governments have also been associated with these kinds of issues. It's often come up the sort of course, the more general thuggery and sort of gunda behavior, property, land grabs, that kind of thing earlier, to definite undertones of being anti-woman. These were in previous DMK regimes. Certainly, I think since the current Chief Minister Stalin came back to power this time, it hasn't surfaced that much. But yes, again, there was the Pollachi case some time ago. But this is a very disturbing recent trend, which is again shining a light on this, kind of ignored aspect of their governance. Now, I'm not saying that cases have not been filed against those, even the Anna University case and so on. Action is taken, but I think the problem is it often comes after a few missteps, or it comes a little bit too late, wherein the party is not really able to stand up and say, look, we are defenders of gender rights. We do protect our women and children. We do preserve safety in that broader sense. So I think that mantle is slightly slipping away from them. And it has horrific consequences, of course, at the personal level. I think they are going, if they really want to come out in a much better light before this election campaign kicks off for the next state assembly election, they're going to have to effect a remarkable turnaround, not just in their rhetoric and the speeches made by ministers on TV, but what is actually happening on the ground, because this is a trend that's very much going against them. And it's, of course, going against the people too. So I think this needs correction.
Yeah, and it's an important issue which one can be as emotive as the earlier issue which we discussed, which is language. Harish, the point really is that, as Narayan Lakshman points out, there needs to be a big turnaround, and B, the action seems to be one that's come after several instances come out. In a sense, action after the perception has been built.
No, and first of all, with due respect to Madam Apsara, I want to categorically deny that whatever the nuances which she kept in the debate is totally falsehood, and they don't have any moral grounds where, at least in this government, whenever the action has been, whenever the crime has been reported, it has been nabbed, the culprits have been nabbed and booked under the justice, and they are brought back in front of the justice to the maximum level without any deviations. That is which this government has to be looked upon. Whether the Pollachi cases, where the ruling party MLA Mr. Jayaraman and his son has been deployed, where there has been no action whatsoever, and it has to be brought to their daylight, and the entire crowd has to come on the streets to demand for justice. But that is not happening here in this government. Whenever there is a crime against any women or children has been reported across the state, has been brought down, and they have with the scientific evidence, without any loopholes, with scientific evidence.
We have to respond.
Right? And number two, when it comes to the entire nation, Tamil Nadu holds the best records for the Women and Safety Acts, and they have each and every protocol which has been followed meticulously even after the Nirbhaya case. The entire fund of the state governments, Nirbhaya funds, have been used for the development of the women safety and security when it comes to the state, wholesome of a state is concerned. Then and there might be so much of discrepancy.
Okay, 20 seconds. Apsara Reddy, make your point, because I want to get a last word from Narayan Lakshman as well.
The DMK spokesperson says it's all falsehood. Is he saying all the news channels are wrong? Is he saying all the news reporting is wrong? A 24-year-old adult has molested a 14-year-old girl. There's 7 boys who raped a young girl in Coimbatore. There's a headmaster or teacher
10 seconds. Harish, just respond back to Apsara before I get Narayan Lakshman for the last word.
I think DMK should stop lying and focus on women and children.
With due respect, each and every government is there to tackle what kinds of crime has been reported.
Talk about what your CM is not able to do.
On a immediate basis, where the government
is not able to act. Talk about the now.
Okay.
Why is this Chief Minister Stalin acting on women and children?
I let the two of you have this exchange. Narayan Lakshman, we discussed 2 issues today. One was language, the other is law and order. Are we going to see a 2026 election campaign that can be defined as language, Dravidian ideology on one side versus law and order and governance on the other? That's going to be the narrative of the 2026 campaign. Quick last word.
Yes, Viragava, I do think these are going to be the 2 huge issues, obviously alongside development itself, and whether you're able to provide the basics of jobs to people and reduce poverty. I think the language one in particular will have a very strong resonance because, as I said, there's a long history of it. The gender issue certainly is of great concern, but it could be reframed possibly by the government as a law and order and governance issue which can be fixed.
Right.
So I think the language issue is definitely, in my mind, going to have a much deeper echo going forward.